Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Everyday Green Home Podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Esser Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for you and our world. Welcome to the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Joining me today virtually in our Zoom studio is Steve Feldman of Renovation Angel, all the way safely socially distanced across the Zoom world, right?
Absolutely.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's always a great day to be able to talk about luxury recycling. And, we met at KBIS a couple of years ago, so delighted to be on your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun to meet on that panel. And the irony was I was filling in for somebody else.
That's right.
That had gotten sick or had to have emergency surgery or something horrible. But I met the coolest people, and I was really, really happy to make that connection with the design industry. And the National Kitchen and Bath Association is so instrumental in what's happening in kitchen and baths, which is right up your alley, of course.
That's what we're here to talk about.
So give us a little background about you and how you came about with Renovation Angel.
Well, thank you. I tell this story to pretty much everyone I meet. So I was a rock and roll DJ. Yeah.
I love that about you.
I was, my first job was, classic rock, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the morning, Jethro Tull into Bob Marley into Joni Mitchell.
Did you have the long hair and everything?
It wasn't as long back then, but yeah, it was pushing it. And that was in 1979 at a radio station in Westerly, Rhode Island that went on to become 1037 WWRX. It was a clear channel station, so when I left, I had actually been there 18 years. I moved up from DJ to program director into sales manager. And then when I left, I was the senior marketing manager for 2 stations. So that was my career. And then the last, I was selling radio advertising, doing all that marketing side of radio. I am also a recovered addict for 32 years. So I kind of shocked the radio industry in 1998 when I announced I was leaving this, really respected position to go do fundraising for addiction recovery. So that's what I did. And I landed in Greenwich, Connecticut, which is one of the super luxury communities in the country. And I got one very wealthy donor who was worth $100 million. And
whoa.
Yeah, there were a lot of people in Greenwich that had that kind of net worth. And she then lost $30 million in the 2001 stock market crash. And she freaked out. She said, "Steve, here's your last check. Good luck." Now, her next door neighbor was the Queen of Iran, the Shah's wife.
What are the chances? I guess pretty high in Greenwich.
In Greenwich, very high. Yeah, everybody was either famous or super wealthy and not famous.
Wow.
And I saw a sign in the Queen's driveway that said demolition in progress. So I was curious. So I drove up to this 10,000 square foot Rockefeller mansion, and it was gone. I just remember seeing this pile of bricks on the ground, and there was nothing there. And I had this idea. The idea was, rather than ask people for money in a bad economy, maybe I should earn the money. And I would earn it by getting kitchens, fixtures, and furniture donated out of mansions that were being demolished and got renovated. So I started talking about my idea, and I talked to one real estate agent who said, "Oh, I know the editor of the Greenwich Time newspaper. I'll tell her about your idea." And they did an article on the idea. And that is a miracle. Imagine me showing up in Beverly Hills and saying, "Hey, I want to go into the mansions of all the wealthy people. You want to do an article on me?" They would laugh. They'd probably have the bouncers throw me out the door. But in Greenwich, it was what they call an early adopter market. There was a lot of young hedge fund money, and the newspapers were hip to that. So the article came out in October 2001, and we got 36 phone calls from architects, builders, designers, real estate agents, even hedge fund managers. So I spent the next 4 years learning, how do you recycle kitchens? How do you sell them? We were probably one of the first to ever sell a kitchen on eBay. And this program was all growing pretty much word of mouth. We didn't have a website. We didn't even have a program name. So I then thought in 2005, what would happen if I would do this full time? So I got a little seed money. My initial name was called Green Demolitions. And in Greenwich, it was perfect because it was the greening of a demolition. And we started Green Demolitions in June of 2005. And we were like the darlings of Greenwich. Within 3 years, we had grown it to 35 employees. We had a store in nearby Norwalk, Connecticut. We had a couple of stores, one in the Catskills, one in the Poconos. And we had really grown the enterprise. We were recycling hundreds of kitchens. And then a little thing came along called the banking crisis. Well, actually, it was a big thing because it was, the whole subprime real estate crash followed by the banking crisis. And Greenwich was in the hotbed of the financial world, hedge fund managers, Wall Streeters. And so we were like, what are we going to do? So, we knew it was a good idea. We just started expanding geographically into New Jersey, New York City. We were very fortunate that the New York Times had done an article, a full-page article on green demolitions in April of 2008, which is on my website if you go to the press section. So we were starting to get some notoriety in New York City. And then over the next 4 years, we transferred our entire operation to Renovation Angel's name and to a 43,000 square foot store in Fairfield, New Jersey. So the Green Demolitions donation program became Renovation Angel, and that happened in 2012. We were very fortunate. Now, we handle a lot of famous people, celebrities, but that year, Edie Falco, everyone knows her for being in The Sopranos, Nurse Jackie, she volunteered to say, hey, I want to shout out about this. So she said, I'll come to your showroom for 5.5 hours. I'll do interviews. She went on Success Magazine. That article's still out there. Working Mother, some local magazines, even Inside Edition TV. So it was a wonderful experience. We got great pictures and autographs, and she was just a delight to work with and said some wonderful, wonderful things about us. And then, we started to that year also expand into nationwide recycling. So, today Renovation Angel goes everywhere from the Hamptons to Beverly Hills, Seattle to Palm Beach, and everywhere.
An amazing story. And it's always, oh my gosh, I love hearing how people start these amazing movements and businesses and ideas, and it's all over the board. But so many times it's just this like flash of inspiration or something happens and they just all these events tumble in place. And that's an amazing history to see.
Well, we're very fortunate that what we stumbled into was an incredible white market. Nobody was doing nobody was recycling kitchens. And starting in a market like Greenwich, we really learned what the ultra high net worth individual wants. They want it to be easy. They want white glove removal. They want somebody to facilitate the whole process. And then, they want all their tax paperwork tied up in a neat white package, So that's what we've done. And, our benchmarks, we're only scratching the surface, but in 15 years, we have recycled over 7,000 kitchens. We have created over $25 million worth of new recycling jobs.
Wow.
And we have written checks to charities for $2.3 million for charities helping addiction recovery, youth at risk, and homelessness.
Yeah, impressive. Very impressive. And I love the whole community and social aspect of what you're bringing to bear as well. It's very admirable.
Well, here's the thing. What we're doing, we're only scratching the surface. I call it a homeopathic dose of recycling because currently there are 100,000 luxury kitchens being thrown out in this country every year.
Whoa.
I mean, that's how many are coming out. Obviously, probably not every single one gets thrown out, but a majority of them go away into dumpsters or into storage, which means maybe eventually into a dumpster, but a lot of them just get thrown out. So, and then there's 100,000 more of kitchens that aren't in the luxury category that are also being thrown out.
It's a lot of resources just being wasted.
Exactly. So, I figure if you don't set a lofty goal, you'll never get there. So my lofty goal would be to recycle every one of those $100,000 kitchens, which would create, nearly $1 billion worth of revenue, which means probably about $400 million worth of jobs every year, which would be huge. And then I'd love to be like Bombas Socks, that for every kitchen that I recycle to create jobs, I recycle another one and then give it away to somebody who's suffered from poverty, floods, or fire. And, there's, that every year, we just had a hurricane come through last week. There's hurricanes that really devastate, Florida, New Orleans, Houston, some of these other real Hurricane Alley states. And, my vision would be like stockpiling these kitchens and then, these fleets of trucks going down the road, the Renovation Angel, kitchens. The angels have descended.
I have this picture in my mind.
It makes such a great shot. It's like, here comes 50 tractor trailers with, 200 kitchens for a market that really, really needs them. So it's an incredibly lofty goal, but I think it's doable because,
why not?
If you look at other industries, take the automobile industry, nothing gets wasted. If a car doesn't sell as new, it goes into a fleet. It then becomes a pre-owned car. From pre-owned, it becomes a parts car. From the parts, it then recycle the raw materials, the rubber, the metal, the plastic. Very, very little waste. The kitchen and bath industry, partly because there's a little more difficulty factor. Kitchens don't have wheels. They spread out. They're bigger than cars. They're, you can figure, I just did this yesterday, 12 components make up a kitchen. So, from the stone to the cabinets, the appliances, the hardware, the plumbing fixtures, lighting, flooring, there's a lot that goes into a kitchen. So it makes it more difficult, but difficult is not impossible. And so we have come up with a process for how to reclaim them, how to transport them, how to sell them to people who are going to repurpose them and deliver them. So that's what we do. And the do-it-yourselfers around America love us because we have, we're like the next best thing to having your brother-in-law be a contractor, And we're even better than that because, when people try to retrofit a kitchen, they need to select from 10, 20, 30 kitchens to see one that's going to fit. And we make that available. And, our website, renovationangel.com, is where you can shop for them. And then, we deliver nationwide.
Hey, this is Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, and I am the author of Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices for a Better Home. And in this book, besides talking about a bunch of stuff about green and sustainability products and practices you can easily take in your home, also talk about home maintenance and how important this is to having a home that serves you rather than you serving it. Seasonal home maintenance checklists are a big part of this, and I teamed up with colleague Tina Gleisner from Home Tips for Women to use her maintenance checklist, actually included in the book, starting on page 96. And if you have the book, look them up. But I wanted to give you a brief excerpt from the book to get you excited about why home maintenance checklists, I know that doesn't sound very exciting, but why they are so important. So, maintaining a home is actually a 3-part ongoing process: inspect, maintain, and update. To help you keep track of what you've done and plan to do, make notes on the checklist. First, inspect. If you've only got an hour to spare, pick one exterior side of the house or one room inside to inspect. Note the date you did this on the checklist and flag items needing maintenance or repairs so you can schedule time or make a list for your handyman or handywoman. Second, maintain. Keep your home safe, such as smoke detector batteries. Keep your home energy efficient, like furnace air filters, and prolong the useful life of many home features, like caulking bathroom tile. Write it down when you complete a task. Keeps you from guessing later on. And third, update. Take advantage of improved materials and fixtures. Upgrade to new building codes and evaluate when it makes more sense to make an improvement rather than repair, such as replacing a bathroom floor rather than repairing the grout. Check out the book or give me a holler and I'll hook you up online to get the maintenance checklist for yourself. If you'd like to have the entire book, please go to livinggreenbook.com for a multitude of ways to purchase it for yourself. Thanks again. This is Marla, the Green Home Coach. So how do you determine how to fit those components into your space in a kitchen space?
I love that question. So what I've determined is a system. It's a 3-part question you have to ask yourself. First, do I love this kitchen, or can I learn to love it? Maybe you had your eyes set on white shaker, but then you see this gorgeous cherry shaker kitchen. You go, wow, that's really stunning. I love it. Number 2, will it fit? So there's a few things that we tell people. Number 1, the ceiling height is critical. If you have 8-foot ceilings and the cabinet, the uppers at total ceiling height come to 9 feet, it's going to be very hard to retrofit that kitchen unless there's like crown molding that you can eliminate. But, a foot is hard to make up. So it really should be the same ceiling height or lower than your ceiling height, because a lot of kitchens don't go up to the ceiling. That's number 1. Number 2, it's better to get at least the cabinets you need or more. I mean, I've heard stories of kitchens just like fitting right into the space. And it makes sense. I mean, there's only so many house plans. There's so many kitchen designs. I mean, there's hundreds, but
right.
Kitchens are modular. They can be rearranged.
Right.
You can, wow, this run was 12 feet. I only had 10. Great. I eliminated a 2-foot cabinet. I cut the granite, and nobody ever knew that it didn't get designed that way. So number 1, do you love it? Number 2, can you make it fit? We do have experienced people from the kitchen industry who work at Renovation Angel that can help you do that. Number 3, is it in your budget? You may love that kitchen and it may fit perfectly, and it's a $50,000 kitchen and your budget's 10. So you got to find that kitchen that's going to fit your budget. I mean, we do take offers and we're pretty reasonable, but a $50,000 kitchen won't sell for 10. So those are kind of how you make it work.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who watch your podcast that would be super interested in this. And what I tell people is, go to the website, start looking around, and sign up for a thing called the Luxury Bargain Hunters Club. That is something we started 10 years ago when we started selling kitchens nationwide. And that's a wonderful profiling of who you are. And it tells us things like, when did you find out about us? How did you hear about us? What kind of kitchens do you like? Tell us about your project. Tell us about yourself. Are you a consumer as a do-it-yourselfer? Are you working with an architect, builder, designer? And then there's a budget question. What kind of budget would you want to do? And then people who join the club, they get a nice $25 gift certificate for their first purchase. But most importantly, they get a call from one of our team members. Most likely it's going to be Courtney Foley, who used to flip houses, and she's been working with us for about 3 years. And she's great at helping you to figure out a kitchen for your space.
So getting on this club lets you see what's coming through the inventory. Is that correct?
Yes. Once you join the club, you'll get a weekly email from us, but the inventory is on the website. We do a few things. We show multiple pictures of the kitchens, including the condition. So if it's in pristine, everything looks great. If it needs some repainting or some touching up, you see that too. We do a 20/20 layout or a hand drawing of that kitchen. So you could actually print that off and get your own kitchen, measure it out, and sit there and see how you can make it work.
I missed that when I was looking at online.
One of the links I'm going to send you is when the New York Times did an article on us in 2015, which was our second full-page article. The lead photograph was awesome. It was a picture of one of our kitchen listings, and the store was still called Green Demolitions then, and a picture of graph paper with sticky notes where they were actually making the kitchen work. And that's how people do it. You do it with graph paper, you do it with sticky notes, and sticky notes was actually a good idea.
I used to cut and paste my little shapes and rearrange them on the graph paper.
Exactly. So, and that article got us a lot of notoriety, a lot of customers, a lot of new suppliers. And so, that a do-it-yourselfer can do it. We can kind of walk you through the process. And then a lot of people find architects, designers, builders that love the challenge of a retrofit. And we have people like that we can recommend to your customers as well, to your viewers who watch your podcast So, that's all on the repurpose side. We don't get to the repurpose side unless we can get supply.
Right. And how does that happen? Because it's not every day that you walk up to the Queen of Iran's house and be able to take the kitchen.
That's right. So, I consider like three phases of Renovation Angel's history. The first phase, which, kind of went through last year, I called the organic. And it was like we came up with the idea. Obviously, we went out and we talked to architects, builders, and designers, but I was really like Johnny Appleseed. I was spreading the idea around, and it grew from word of mouth. It grew from a lot of positive press. We got TV appearances. We were on George to the Rescue on NBC. We were on $1 Million Contractor with Steve Feldman. And we got so much positive media over the years that it just kind of grew, and people liked the experience, so they would tell their neighbors, or an architect would tell one of their new clients. And so that was all organic, and that was wonderful. Well, with everything going on in the world and the different economic crises, like the banking crisis, like the Social Security scare in 2011, and now coronavirus, organic doesn't work because we have a very expensive operation with a 43,000 square foot facility and a $5 million insurance umbrella and 33 employees and a payroll over $2 million a year. So we have to create supply. So we have now moving from the organic into the strategic. And the strategic involves collaborative partnerships with major players in the industry. So the first big one that we just launched was with Miele Luxury Appliances. This was announced on June 29th. It's called Recycle and Rebate. So a lot of people know about rebates on appliances and other products, but this is the first time a global company has embraced kitchen recycling into their process. So Recycle and Rebate is simply an incentive for the homeowner to recycle their kitchen, and Miele offers a 10% discount new appliances that are purchased. And then the major savings, which we haven't even talked about, which we'll talk about now, is what people can save when they donate their kitchen. So there's three major savings. Number one is the significant tax deduction. A lot of wealthy consumers have been renovating for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and nobody ever told them that they could recycle their kitchen and get a good tax deduction. And the reason they get that good tax deduction is we introduce the homeowner to a third-party independent appraisal company that will do a fair market value appraisal. And the cost of that kitchen appraisal is only $450. So you may be getting a $30,000 deduction, which if you're in New York or California, could be worth 49 cents on the dollar, which means you're getting nearly 15,000 back of tax savings, and your appraisal only costs $450. So savings number one, significant tax deduction. Savings number two, free white glove removal. And we call this a preservation removal. And we estimate that removal would cost you $8,000. If you had to pay, because our crews are able to remove the cabinets like a carpenter would or a remodeler. They're able to remove the granite like a granite fabricator would remove or a stone fabricator. And they're able to take everything, all the appliances. So if you were to hire someone to do it, and we act as the moving company, we carefully pack everything and take it off the premises for no charge, leaving them clean, swept space. So you would need 3 subcontractors: a carpenter remodeler, number 1, a granite company, number 2, to preserve the stone, and a moving company, number 3, to take that kitchen away to preserve it. There's also the savings of what would happen if you threw it in the dumpster. You get charged demo costs, and those vary in different markets. I've heard some demo costs can be several $1,000s, and they're also charging you for the dumpster. And I always like to make this joke because before I started Renovation Angel, I was selling recycling construction debris dumpster services. And one of the things I learned was, dumpsters put marks in your driveway, and they also block the BMW. So, eliminate the dumpster and recycle that kitchen, and you eliminate that cost. So we estimate that every qualified project, because we don't take every single kitchen, the homeowner is going to save anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 when they donate their kitchens. Now, obviously, on the $50,000 side, you're talking a $200,000-$300,000 kitchen it could appraise for $100,000. And that's a pretty special kitchen. And that probably,
Yeah, so that's pretty high end.
we've seen them that high end. You know, there's some very big mansions out there, and, you know, a kitchen could have $100,000 worth of appliances in it, you know, and we've seen houses that were brand new built and then it sells. And, you know, if you're paying 30, 50, 100 million for a mansion, you're going to spend another $500,000 to put in the kitchen you want, you know? So that's what happens. And many times these super expensive homes are, you know, a multiple home for that owner. So while they're fixing up their home in, you know, Montecito, California, they're living at their other residence in Scottsdale, Chicago, Palm Beach, New York, wherever. So that's how much they can save. So the recycle and rebate program from Mila is really kind of a ground-shaking, positive role model for the kitchen and bath industry. So very excited about that, and we just launched it, and you're going to hear more about that as we go. I'd also love to do a great shout out to the National Kitchen and Bath Association. They approached us 2 years ago and they said, we love what you're doing. We would love to do something more with Renovation Angel. So we developed the NKBA Renovation Angel Luxury Kitchen Recycling Awards. And the first year we did it was the year I met you, 2019. We didn't have time to roll out an awards and actually take entries. So we did what's called early adopters. And it was wonderful. We gave awards to people like Matthew Quinn, who's a nationally known designer. I think he just won Designer of the Year for Kitchen Bath Business. And so Matthew was there. And then there were other great companies like Walker Zanger, who had us as an awareness partner. We gave awards to designers throughout the country. Most notably, Peter Dean at Dean Inc., which has showrooms in Stamford and New Canaan. They were one of the first designers to actually give us a kitchen, even before we started in 2005. And they ended up recycling 40 kitchens in 3 years because they built it into their best practice. So those were like my early adopters. And then in 2020, we actually had our first awards. And it was so great. We had Susie Williford, who's the executive vice president of NKBA, do the opening remarks for the award ceremony. We had George Oliphant, the host of George the Rescue at NBC, as the master of ceremonies. And the awards that we gave, it was so much fun. So we had 3 categories for professionals that gave us wonderful projects. The first one was the most valuable luxury kitchen. This was one of those like $300,000 kitchens. And it had, you know, La Cornue, and it had beautiful stone and amazing cabinetry. It was very large, from a multi-million-dollar townhouse in Lower Manhattan. And the project came to us through Denise Karen Quinn, who is an organizer, and her company is called In Order to Succeed. So it was wonderful to be able to give her that award. Then we had the best luxury kitchen, and that came from a super big high-rise in New York, multi-million-dollar apartments. And that went to Josh Wiener at Silver Lining Interiors. And it was a kitchen that had never been used. It actually had all Mila appliances, never used. And then Peter Dean won the most kitchens recycled from a firm, and it was 40 that he had done in 3 years. And then the NKB also wanted to celebrate the designers, contractors that would repurpose these kitchens for their clients. So we created a small, medium, and large category. And the first winner for the small was Nancy Evans and her contractor, Jonathan Trudeau. And Nancy is the executive personal assistant for movie star Glenn Close. How fun is that? So it was great because when the judges came to judge, and we had 2 judges from the NKBA, we had 3 people from our George the Rescue and Kimball Derrick, who is one of our industry partners, who's a designer in Naples and Cincinnati. So when the judges looked at everything, nobody knew who these people were. We didn't want to influence them because, you know, everybody knows everybody in the industry. So nobody knew that that was Glenn Close's personal assistant. She had retrofitted in her second home up in Wells, Maine. And then we gave the medium-sized kitchen went to Lori Gascoigne from Short Hills, New Jersey. And Lori is an interior designer who started retrofitting kitchens. In fact, thanks to Lori's retrofit, one of her kitchens went out to a friend of hers in Seattle, and we got featured on both Seattle and Portland TV back in 2016. And we started getting, it was amazing. We got like 100 calls and emails from people in Seattle after it ran on Cuomo TV with Connie Thompson, their big TV host. So, and then the large kitchen went to a contractor named Danny Garabidia, who was a contractor in New Jersey. And what was so fun was they all said, we love the challenge of retrofitting these kitchens. And they look gorgeous. You'd never know that these weren't meant for the space.
Yeah, that's an amazing process to think about.
5 myths of green homes are 5 things that you probably believe about green homes that may be costing you thousands of dollars. Which myth do you hear the most? Get your copy of 5 Myths at greenhomecoach.com and click on the button for 5 Myths of Green Homes. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Green Home Coach and let me know the green home myth you hear the most. I'll also share tips, products, and resources. Be sure to download your copy of 5 Myths of Green Homes now, and then check back to learn more.
And anytime we get to keep something in play and use it rather than creating new, that much better. And I love the win-win-win that this project and this whole movement that you've started really brings to everyone that's involved in the process.
Thank you, Marla. I love using Stella McCartney's, Paul McCartney's daughter's phrase for this. It's called the circular economy.
Yep.
And it starts with, that kitchen that's going to come out of its space, and that gets recycled, and then it gets repurposed to a homeowner, and everybody benefits along the way. And it's a beautiful thing. And that process creates the jobs, reduces the landfill waste, and creates proceeds that we can help other charities with their missions. So, on that note, I want to share my blue sky vision with you. It's so big.
Go for it. That would be a great way for us to wrap up.
So with the NKBA, when we started this program, I got the joy of sitting down with Diane Pagoda, who is the editor for their magazine. And we started talking about how many kitchens get, remodeled. And the kitchen industry is like $86 billion.
Yeah, it's huge.
15% of that is luxury. So we did the math, and it's like 100,000 luxury kitchens are getting remodeled every year. So, we having those statistics. So, my goal then has kind of become, all right, I want to recycle every one of those 100,000 kitchens, which create about $1 billion worth of revenue. And that's not even including the bathrooms, the lighting, the furniture, the antiques, all the other things we take, which is probably another couple of billion. But just the kitchens alone are $1 billion. And then I'd love to be like Bombas Socks and say, for every kitchen we recycle to create jobs, we recycle one and give it to a family suffering from poverty, fire, or floods. And
lots of natural disasters right now.
Yeah, and there's always situations where, people can use kitchens. Their kitchens have gotten damaged, or they never had one in the first place. And so, that is my lofty goal. And, I would love to have this vision of, unfortunately, a hurricane hits one of those states like Texas or Florida or Louisiana, and in come, 100 tractor trailers, Renovation Angel fleet delivering hundreds of kitchens to that market, and, partnering with, trucking companies, local warehousing, and being able to provide this. And, it's a big goal, but if you don't think big,
yep,
you're never going to get there. And, it reminds me, 13 years ago when we opened up our big market store in Norwalk, Connecticut, it was 2007, October, and I'm sitting there with the mayor of Norwalk giving my opening speech, about to cut the ribbon. And I said, my goal is to earn $1 billion for charity. And, that's what we're on our way to doing, because every time we sell a kitchen, it creates the job. That's all part of our charitable mission. So it's very doable, and every kitchen helps. So, if anybody out there is watching this podcast, if you are an architect, a builder, a luxury real estate agent, a designer, if you're an estate manager, if you're in the financial world, if you have contact with high net worth clients, you should be introducing this idea when you hear the word, I'm renovating, I'm demolishing, I'm changing out my kitchens, or I'm relocating and remodeling, and I have a tractor trailer load of furniture that's not going to fit in my new Florida home because it's, it was meant for a traditional look, and I'm going transitional or modern. If you hear of any of these scenarios, please reach out to us at renovationangel.com. All the information's on our website. We have a very easy get started form. You just tell us your name, submit the project. We have luxury project managers that will reach out to you, and we do this nationwide. And no project is too big. Obviously, we don't take everything. Some projects are too small or are not good enough condition, but we always like to get the shot, and that's my blue sky vision. And we are going to do this. Why? Because nobody else is going to do it. Number one.
I believe you. I totally believe you.
No one else is going to do it. And, my whole thing is, if it can be done, why not? And I've seen by just staying with it, a designer from Greenwich one time, I started working with him in like 2005, and I went to play golf with him in Naples like 8 years later. And he said to me, Steve, when I first met you, I thought you were a little crazy, recycling kitchens. And then he says,
sometimes it's good to be a little crazy.
Yeah, entrepreneurs usually are a little crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He goes, now you're kind of like the Mark Zuckerberg of kitchen recycling. So I thought that was a really nice compliment. And of course, we're on Facebook Live. So, hey, a shout out, yeah. Mark, if you're renovating any of your kitchens, you should call us. We'd love to do your project for you. And we know how to showcase it.
Well, I sure am excited to share this with our listeners and our viewers and give people something else to think about and other ways to recycle and reuse the things that are in our homes, our clients' homes, and really help you to reach that blue sky goal. So we will post links in the show notes, and I'll post a few of those in the comments on the Facebook Live as well, so people can find a little bit more information. And your Facebook page is also tagged in this Facebook Live, so people can go to your Facebook page as well. So, Steve, I can't tell you how much I've appreciated learning more about this grand vision you have and how you're doing it. I'm all about action. So thank you for taking action.
Well, there's everybody who's listening can take some action.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know a high net worth person, if you're not in the industry, you just say, hey, I love the idea of recycling. Go on our website. If you want to just put your toe in the water, buy a light. We get new in box lights, faucets from it.
Yeah, I want to go shopping. I want a couple of new things to spruce up the house.
We sell everything at 50 to 90% off list price.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So, and we have 3 different kinds of inventory. We have obviously the pre-owned that comes from the mansions, the luxury apartments, the estate homes around the country. And those are always wonderfully priced, and they're priced based on their original cost, their brand, their condition, how much, refurbing they might need. Then we have a huge supply of showroom displays. This started right after the banking crisis. Showrooms closed, they changed their product lines, they downsized, they upsize, and they close a former showroom to go to a bigger one. These all create inventory that we have to offer to the general public. And some people like the idea of a kitchen that nobody else used. Well, nobody else used these. Then we get new in box products. Believe it or not, we get new in box kitchens. I just got one yesterday. It was like a kitchen. The homeowner ordered it. It was $150,000 worth of millwork. It was more than kitchens. It was bars and bathrooms and furniture. And then he decided to tear the house down. So it sat in storage for 4 years. And that's going to be on my website probably as early as next week. So we get new in box kitchens. We also get new in box vanities. We get new in box faucets, lights, other products that manufacturers, distributors, and showrooms have discontinued, or like a homeowner purchased and now isn't using. We also get new in box appliances and open box. So if you are interested in being green, we make it very easy. We deliver nationwide, very affordable delivery rates. You can make an offer. In the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to go on our website and make an e-commerce purchase, which is very exciting at Renovation Angel.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Right now, you do have to, you can communicate via email, you can make an offer, you can make product inquiries, but you can't actually purchase the kitchen without picking up the phone. So, for all the late nighters and weekenders, the store is open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when we go live with internet e-commerce, we will be kind of 24/7.
I can't wait to see it.
So yeah, buy something from us. And if you're, want to go down the kitchen adventure, 7,000 people have done it. And, first of all, you save so much money, but more than that, you get that great feeling. And I actually did this myself in 2009. I actually bought a very small home in the Catskills. The kitchen was terrible. And I picked the kitchen out from pictures. I didn't even measure it. We made it work. And I was so pleased that I retrofitted that kitchen. And, it cost me $3,500. It was a small kitchen, didn't have any appliances, but it had the granite. We were able to reuse all the granite. And my ceilings were short, so I couldn't use the tall uppers except for a couple of them. And I only left 9 inches between the uppers and the lowers.
Oh my gosh, that's small. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of kitchen designers are cringing right now because you're supposed to do 16 inches. But, it was great. We could hide things from the kids under that cabinet.
There you go.
But we stacked 2 of the uppers to make like a pantry for, vitamins. And
very
supplements.
smart.
So it was really, really pleasing to do that. So I invite you to the journey of retrofitting a kitchen. Our team will help you to measure it in your space. And so whether it be a light, a faucet, or a whole kitchen, we invite you to take the journey with us. And I think more and more people in this, coronavirus environment, first of all, we have the product. It's already made. You don't have to order it. So there's no slowdowns in manufacturing.
Right.
It's already off-gassed, which is kind of cool. The cabinets have already been,
Yeah.
That's another environmental benefit. And the price, you can't beat the price. And we've had people in Greenwich, New Canaan buy from us. It's really about your personality. It's not about your wealth profile. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, and if you're not a do-it-yourselfer, go find an architect, a builder in your area, or we'll find you one. Call us. We have people. And, this is all part of our growth strategy. We want to build.
Yeah.
I like to say to people, I'm like Henry Ford. I built the automobile. Well, my automobile is that recycled luxury kitchen. But I want to see all the other industries spring up, designers that retrofit, builders that install, painters that are going to paint the space, flooring companies that are going to put in new flooring. And when you buy a kitchen at a huge discount, it allows you to do those other elements. So as you can see, I could talk about this for a long time.
You have amazing stories, and I could listen to you all day. Unfortunately, we've run over our time limit. So I am going to urge people to please visit your website, shop, and find something that you can add instead of a brand new item and get something probably pretty unique. So renovationangel.com, and look for us on the podcast in a few weeks as well. Steve, thank you so much. I've learned so much from hearing you talk all about this great dream and action that you've been able to take.
Well, thank you so much. This is actually the first podcast I've done, and it was a lot of fun. I'm going to do a lot more. So,
well, good. Now you're ready.
Yes.
Well, thanks, everybody. Have a great green day.
Remember, renovate responsibly.
That wraps this episode of the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Ready to use what you learned? Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening and for leaving a review. And remember that living a little better and greener is easier than you think.